Oh man, I got on here. I can't believe I actually got in here. How's that even possible? Is it actually live? Am I? I mean, I know that it says that I'm live. I got a Wi-Fi hooked up. Is any? It says zero. Are there any human beings in here, or is this just fake? Is YouTube stunting? YouTube's been locking me out for. I've basically been playing butt tag with YouTube, trying to fucking shut my shit down for like 6 months. Running around making new channels, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. What's up? What's up? Did I make it? Are you guys? I got 9 in here. Sweet. I can't believe they actually let me on live. All right. So I was trying to circumvent YouTube censorship with the assistance of people and uh, None such is very helpful with that in assisting. I should mention that anything I say is from me and really has nothing to do with Royal, and he's just sympathetic to you know he definitely doesn't like censorship and stuff like that, and so he's he wanted to do something useful with the channel, and both of us, I think, over time doing YouTube videos, kind of came to the conclusion that we don't independently, right? Like parallel evolution of identification of this idea that we don't want to support YouTube, but we also don't want to create an idol for people to be lost and to continue to not think that anything's wrong with the world here. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, yeah. uh, so anyway, well, I guess right up front, before I lose too many people, because there's probably going to be a huge drop in subscribership after they look at this live stream. Uh, particularly if they're not expecting us, they don't know anything about Dugan. They'll probably drop subscribers. So I wanted to use the opportunity to give a very important warning, but it's not well known enough, and it needs to be more widespread. So obviously, the United States in the past, over the past 6 months, has really had a number done on it, and I realize that we all have a lot of different sights of the world, of the way that we see the world as individuals, and that they're unique just like us, and our opinions are unique just like we all are. The One of the things that you might have noticed about the United States is that we've had a pretty big buildup of socialist operations in the United States, and you know, regardless of what you think about the underlying issue of the social issues that are taking place in the United States that are coming to the forefront, which are certainly based on real issues of the stifling of humanity's ability to express in a genuine way, their full potential in their interaction with the world while they live. I mean, certainly that's the case, right? But more importantly than that, I want to set that aside, and I want to talk about I want to particularly talk about Antifa and BLM. Antifa is you probably know it as like a wispy organization that can't be pinned down, that comes out of freaking nowhere, out of the cracks, and sets shit on fire, and breaks windows and burns down businesses, and all the things that you've seen. And the media has been protective of them, and so have the government. Okay, and so this is what I wanted to talk about. Uh, Antifa somehow has eluded law enforcement all over the United States, and despite their best effort to try to get a handle on this thing, and it is pretty complicated. We tried to do a lot of research, we being me and a bunch of random people on the internet that I don't know. When this stuff started, the riots, we were trying to investigate it, and it was pretty difficult to pin down the central focus of where the energy comes from and what it is, who these people are. It is an organization that is called the Democratic Socialists of America. Particularly the master the actual master entity is Democratic Socialists of America Inc., which is a 501c4, and it's out of New York City. They have an entire range of subdomain entities throughout the country that they compartmentalize their structure with 501cs. They also have funds and things like that. For instance, there's a 501c3. That's the Democratic Socialists of America Fund. This group is Antifa. So it is the actual legal entity that contains the energy, which can then disperse when they're doing operations under the veil of Antifa to engage unknowing local populace in an area and exploit their disenfranchisement and sense of injustice. And this is sorry, it's cold in here. This is the DSA is and actually it's been around since the 80s, since it's proper IRS recognition, and its parent organization is called the Socialist International, which is an international organization that is very old, that has been around since the 50s officially. The Socialist International has had leadership membership from prime ministers of Germany, or chancellors of Germany rather, and prime ministers of France. So this isn't no Mr. Potato Head organization. This is pretty high roller stuff here in terms of the way the general public looks at it. And so you should understand that the label of Antifa, which is pushed by the media and the government, is actually designed to obfuscate who the people really are in their distillation through the population when they're doing actual destabilization ops, doing riots and shit like that, because they're intermixed with the population. And so, as people get arrested, especially when they try to promote local individuals that aren't actually in the organization under the actual nonprofit to engage in this stuff, and then they get picked up and arrested, it's very difficult to trace, like if one individual is involved with one group that's unrelated to that, or not involved in any group at all, and they're just like a local troublemaker, it makes it very difficult to understand and identify the map of what is going on. The first thing that is very peculiar to warrant and invest, like research into this shit, was from the simultaneous launching of operations all over the United States. Now, I don't know what you think about the modern state of the world, but people are not capable of organically launching something in every major metropolitan area, you know, ideologically at this point. You're not cohesive enough as a nation to even be able to pull that off. It requires a lot of money and coordination, and it requires something that has to be already established. And to move that amount of money there with the Internal Revenue Code in the United States requires an entity to exist. And so this is what, investigating this, we were searching for, because the shape of what it was kind of obvious. It had to take a certain form in order to accomplish the things that it was executing in reality. Simultaneous riots all over the United States, like overnight, making it appear that it's organic and grassroots. It's not organic and grassroots. It's the Democratic Socialists of America. They have, in every most states, not every state, but in most states, they have multiple chapters, and some of them are very large. If you live in a large metropolitan area, you have multiple chapters with, hundreds of members. So this is something to understand, because right now this is trying to be washed out and erased, and it's because this organization and its funding comes from the same people that rule the United States in actuality, and it's the other side of that, the dark side. And a lot of the people that are lower in the operational level of this don't understand this, and probably won't come to comprehend this. But y'all are in big trouble. And they are, the DSA right now, post-election, is they're coordinating something else, and I'm not sure what, but that is what they're doing. And law enforcement all over the United States has had a really difficult time figuring out who Antifa is. That is who Antifa is primarily. Of course, they rub shoulders and interface with all kinds of other social groups, activist groups. That's what it really is. Is one up in here? So anyway, that's the main point of the video. If you don't enjoy watching this, that's what I wanted to get across. That's the most important part. I want my goal here in doing this video is because I've been cut off from YouTube, from streaming, and they're seriously censoring my shit, and I'm having a really hard time reaching the population of the United States to give them information. So if you're either a person that's concerned about the destabilization operations, and you have an IQ that's higher than room temperature, and you know that it's, there's something wrong here, this is the answer. And if you're in a law enforcement capacity and you've been really frustrated by trying to understand what's going on, you should understand that, number one, DSA is who you're looking for, and number two, they're protected by the government of the United States. That's what you should understand. Secondarily, for law enforcement, what you should understand is that you probably, especially if you're in a federal capacity or in a large state that receives a large amount of federal funding and guidance for NIMS compliance and things like that, you've probably had some white papers about something called the Boogaloo Boys. So this is kind of a secondary segue to the initial message regarding that. So the Boogaloo Boys are a government operation that was introduced into the American population to coalesce and group resistor type personalities out of the population that are sympathetic towards that type of thing. And it is for the purpose of reposturing the 9/11 terrorist reactionary response from a foreign entity to a domestic entity. to the domestic population. And that's what the purpose of it is for. And that's also what the purpose of the 9/11 posturing was in the first place. Because if you haven't noticed, the terrorist threat has really died down there, but all the security implements that have been established since 9/11 don't go away. They get turned on you. And so this is something that's really, if you haven't understood this yet, it's kind of scary when you first come to comprehend it and accept it. But that is certainly the case. And right now, we're basically in a game of chicken, meaning like us, like the people who are actually running the shit and the people who understand approximately what's going on. We're basically in a game of chicken, waiting on you guys, being the law enforcement, to see which way you're going to go. If you're going to turn on American citizens wholeheartedly for a paycheck, or if you're going to realize that something is very wrong and fishy. How do you do research? What do you mean? Christian asked me, how do I do research? What, you have to be more specific. Do you want to, are you talking about DSA? Is that what that's in regards to? I'm engaging the audience right here. Okay, so you want to know the conclusion of DSA, like how that came about, like how that was identified? Okay. So Christian, there's a viewer on here named Christian that is asking about the backstory of how DSA was identified. Drew asks, how did I get sub to this channel? I don't know. You better get out of here quick, because it's about to go downhill from here if you're already uncomfortable. So the way that why, cool man, why am I subscribed to this dude? I don't know. You should probably click unsubscribe. I'm probably the only YouTuber that's ever showed that to you. So the way, let's talk about that. Let me focus here for a second. Sorry, I've had a couple of drinks. Let me focus in, and I'm going to answer that nice Christian gentleman's question there. So I'm going to give you the long story. Okay. So the whole thing started when the riots started. We had a shitload of people that didn't know each other working to attempt to identify what the central connection was. And we had a really difficult time because through arrest records of people getting arrested in all the different states and stuff, we were getting hits all over the place with like small NGOs. Now we were looking for NGOs because that's what we knew it was going to be, because it's sort of like what it has to be. If you understand Internal Revenue Code, it's basically you're limited, unless you just have like a private billionaire, just purging and hemorrhaging huge amounts of money to fund a destabilization operation, which is very dangerous because it puts all the liability on that individual. Then it has to go through intermediary entities, and they have to be tax compliant. And so basically the only options are for profit, which would be like a for profit entity, in which case that's even more dangerous because you jeopardize your entire for profit model. And the only other one that's appropriate and has historical precedence is doing so is the nonprofit model, which would be like your 501c's, of which there are a lot of different types. In the beginning of the investigation, we had a really difficult time figuring out exactly who the fuck these people are, because the reason being because the people, the names that you're looking at are basically like anybody that's positively associated with being at the riots and engaged. And the only way to really know that is through arrest record, or people that say that they're there through social media and post it and things like that. Well, surprise, surprise, a lot of the people that are posting that they're at the riots and stuff aren't a part of the central organization because they're using OPSEC. So they're not the people that are really coordinating the shit are kind of a little bit more quiet, and the people who are like noobs, like people that don't know any better, that are just excited by the chance to burn everything down, that show up, that live in the area, they are a little bit more, you know, happy to broadcast that. And so most of the names that we were finding, and also get arrested, they're also quicker to get arrested. You know, when they set some shit on fire and then realize that like reality is on and they're gonna get, you know, the cops are gonna close in and arrest them. So anyway, it's sort of it's somewhat dead ended. Other than like studying the locations, what really did it, what started it was this. So there was a somebody sent me an email about a week ago for through 4chan of a it was some anonymous it was a network analysis graph, like a visual graph of kind of a ludicrous story about setting up a Wi-Fi honeyspot in Portland, Oregon, and they got 8,000 names on it from people signing on to the like unlocked Wi-Fi at the riots. Now, the story behind it, you know, like not to blast the anonymous guy, but like obviously the story's fake, so that's not how they got the names because it's really not possible. So use the other means, they're just giving a parallel construction as the public narrative of like how they got the names. It's not what happened. So anyway, once we established that that didn't happen, then it was like somewhat plausible. And then I started looking at the names here. And then what happened was started to see immediate crossover with the DSA. And then we took names from other people at other locations around the country that are involved in the riots and also got DSA. And then what happened was like, okay, now we're looking at DSA. So we looked at the structure of DSA and its subchapters, and then we came to the conclusion that it's virtually the only 501 entity in the United States that's capable of pulling it off. So they are in every location of the riots, all over the country. So everywhere that had a riot that got reported has a DSA location within proximity, like within driving distance. And the areas that have multiple overlaps of DSA, which would be mostly your East Coast and like in the around the Great Lakes and Illinois area, you had like concentrated riots. So it's highly associated with it. Furthermore, their organization is for the purpose of you know, converting the United States into socialism in terms of the formal cause of it. And it has membership. I mean, you have sitting legislators that are in office right now that are members of the DSA. So it's pretty high level. And they're all over the fucking United States. And I guarantee you that you have them really close to you, very close. Does that answer your question? Well, so the naming rings, that was the initial thing that they pushed in poll. As far as I'm aware, and I don't know because I'm not on 4chan, because 4chan is like a pretty dangerous place. But who funds the DSA? Well, see, that's something where I'm not going to say that unless I know for sure, and that's out of my pay grade. That's going to be something that the United States government would do if it was their prerogative to do, which it's not. It's the United States government prerogative to not identify DSA, so they're not going to. But you can identify the DSA and you can watch them in your area, because I guarantee you probably have one within 30 miles of your wherever you live, if you live in a city somewhere. You probably have a location somewhere in your area. If you want to look up the DSA to go start pulling intelligence on them in a private capacity, hopefully legal and nonviolent, which is what I would recommend. But I would recommend, if you are a person that's frustrated by the state of things here and you'd like to do something about it, well, a good start would be to go to your local DSA and check and see who these people are. Maybe dress up like a homeless person and go through their trash, grab all the trash, and do some in-house intelligence work there. Because you're probably not going to have the cops do it, because even if the cops wanted to do it, they're going to get shut the fuck down from their superiors. Yeah, the good thing about posing as a homeless guy and going through their trash to get intel is that you can drink on the job, and it's only going to improve your cover. And if you get caught, you can just utter something about, you saw one of those little box milks in there, and you needed some breakfast or whatever, and the Congress vodka on your breath is just going to help the cover. That's it. Okay. There you go. Trash milk. Yeah. Christopher says, "Yo, I love trash milk, bro." That's all crazy, man. Anyways, my goal in putting this out there is to spread it as far and wide as possible, so that at least if the government tries to cover it up, the American people won't forget about the DSA, and in doing so, make it a little harder for them to operate here in the United States unnoticed. And we got Carl in here. Democratic Socialists of America, Inc. That is a 501c4. They have an EIN. I apologize, I don't have the EIN written down out here to give it to you, but you can easily look it up. The EIN is their legal entity name. They also have a Democratic Socialists of America fund, which is a 501c4. Otis is gonna post in the comments the EIN for the primary entity. Yeah, okay, so Kilo Sierra Alpha says Dugan, DSA is a 501c4 nonprofit organization, so their financial data should be open, and there should be the names of big donors. You are correct, normally, except that DSA is very old, and they're set up by the controllers, tactically, and so they're extremely familiar with IRC, and they have invoked their option. They're not noobs, so they have invoked their option to restrict their Schedule B, which would identify their major donors. And so it is actually very difficult to find. If anybody is in the IRS right now, over in Kentucky, for the nonprofits, and you're watching this, and you want to be a hero and serve your country, the United States, you can go ahead and feel free to grab their Schedule Bs and post that shit online so that we can find it. Because we are having and likewise, if you're some kind of super high speed hacker guy, and if you don't like the fact that there is an organization that is ploying on the issues with society and taking advantage of people and lying and manipulating society through minorities into a direction that is not going to help them or anyone else, and they're doing so through deceit. And if you want to do something about it, you could see if you can find the Schedule Bs for any of the don't solicit crimes, dude. It's not solicitation of crimes, it's solicitation of freedom, my friend. We need the Schedule Bs. They should be public. They're not, and they should be. And they do not need to be operating here in the United States. They're the enemy of the United States, clearly, obviously doing deceptive destabilization operations. They're a foreign entity. I don't have any problem saying that. And anybody that has a problem with that, you're not a very good American. And I'm not really worried about consequence of putting that out there. And nobody else is going to do it, so I'm going to do it. Hi, Connor. Where we're going with this is war, eventually, and everybody knows that. And so this is a way that we can up the ante without fighting. I think that's important to do everything that we can peacefully before this thing gets out of hand, because it's surely going to get out of hand. And it would be irresponsible of me to write off and not try to do what I can when I can, while I can. Does that make sense? And so that's why I'm putting this out there. Hopefully, in some way, somebody who is a mover and shaker can take this information and put it in a useful direction to apply some pressure to throw the balance off and disrupt the future operations that are surely underway right here, and possibly save someone's life. Possibly, if they can't save a life, maybe they'll delay whatever is to come. I don't know anything about Brennan except for he's a shithead and a traitor to the United States. That's all I know. And he works for world government. The entire DIA is the DNI rather is totally corrupt and is a foreign entity, and is we've got serious fucking problems here in the United States. They are reposturing the entire national security apparatus to turn it inward on American citizens. And it's been an ongoing process. Most of that is through the Department of Homeland Security has repostured its threat assessment to include what they call it, the term that they use are domestic violent extremists. That'd be a DVE. That is a federal term that they're using in the white papers. This has been coordinated with their primary think tank group, which is actually just one guy. His name is Joel Finkelstein. He is at a private organization that really has no subject matter expertise, nor shouldn't even be allowed into a federal building, let alone counseling the DHS. But yet he is the author of most of the terms and the ideas that they're introducing to the federal government right now. His organization is called National Contagion Research Institute, or something thereabouts, NCRIO, something like that. Anyway, he is. It's pretty much one guy. It's pretty much just like a shell NGO investigative group that has got carte blanche to advise Department of Homeland Security. And then because of the consolidation of the counterterrorism network federally since 9/11, is basically a straight pipeline. So your state police and your local police are getting white papers from intelligence sources that they can't verify, that they have to assume are correct. And it goes all the way down the pipe. And the furthermore that your police department participated in NIMS and ICS management, top-down compliance through grant monopoly or grant lotteries. The more that they did that, the more shit they're getting down the pipe that they're supposed to look at and listen to. And they are getting white papers right now to reposture the security apparatus of the United States against its own people by identifying dissidents against world government as domestic violent extremists and white supremacists. And that is the entire game. And Joel Finkelstein isn't very smart, and most of the things that he writes about are incorrect, and I can prove that. And I've tried to challenge him to an interview to discuss this stuff, and he won't return my calls. So he is playing hard to get, and Unfortunately, that's not going to be good enough because the bullshit that he's pulling is going to have real world consequences, get people killed. And obviously, he's a world government shill, and he shouldn't be able to step foot in any kind of law enforcement building for advising. And the federal government is basically where he's connecting to, and they're taking the shit that he's writing and then passing it down without authorship, and then claiming national security like it's a secret fucking sauce code, and so you can't know about it. But this is what's up. Domestic violent extremists. It's us. It's American people that are veterans that are they're all the people that are going to resist world government because everybody knows that something's fucked up, and people are smelling what time it is, and they don't know exactly what's going on, but they know enough to be distrustful and not buy what's going on. And so this is very dangerous, and it's also unfortunately anticipated and calculated. And so there's this whole process of them reposturing the government is the process of them handling that, and they did that in conjunction with COVID. And so they're shoring up their defenses. They've got the corrals down, the perimeter fence, and now they're pulling it in. And they're just going to keep on pulling it in until we get engagement. And I'm sure they have a plan for that too. Now, Soros, somebody said Brazil got hacked tonight. It's Soros. Soros is definitely a part of this, but he is a bagman, and he's the one that the MSM puts out there. If you guys haven't figured this out already, your MSM and most of your alt media is entirely compromised. Entirely compromised. It's been seeded money into for over a decade now, particularly the alt media. The MSM has been compromised since the beginning, since its inception. They just didn't cash in on their ROI, their return on investment, until now. This is what it's all for. They're taking the United States. They technically, they already got it. They already have the United States. What they're trying to do, what this big picture game is right now, is to get you guys to accept world government through a very clever deception. And you might be asking yourself, like, how would he do that? I don't trust Marxists. I would never fall for the Marxists. I know that, and they know that. And that's why Donald Trump is your Trojan horse that's going to fucking get you. It's the Pied Piper. Now, when I say that, a lot of people are going to, oh, don't say that. I'm telling you right now that Trump is not done, and he's coming back. And you might be rooting for that right now, and I'm not going to change your mind, and I'm not going to try to. But if I can get you to hold in the back of your mind a little something for when you start to see things go bad, it would be this. Donald Trump is the purpose of all of this, and he is going to be the Trojan horse that brings this country down. And he is, you guys have all of your entire deck of cards is invested in him. You have your entire collection of eggs in one basket. Now, I'm not going to keep on going. I'm not going to keep on going on about that because you either understand what I'm saying and that speaks to you when I say that, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to change your mind. And I can understand why you feel the way that you do, because the people that you're up against are very good. And by good, I mean bad. The forests, of course, are very important, but it's not necessary. But it will give you a lot of mercy, and it's a very good idea. It's not my idea. It would be great. I can't make you do it. It's totally up to you. Epoch Times is Chinese propaganda. Epoch Times is technically Jewish propaganda, but they make sure to include plenty of Chinese nationals in there to make sure that the return address goes to China. Yeah, so right now the situation with Trump is that you're pretty much getting, they're pretty much setting him up to be the underdog, so that when he comes back, it looks like it's entirely organic, like it's the last bastion of America and freedom. So Trump is Trump is Trump is a Rothschild bad boy, and he is directly working on a House of Rothschild, and that should be obvious from his. I mean, his Secretary of Commerce is Wilbur Ross. Wilbur Ross has been a Rothschild Inc. employee, like literally the company Rothschild Inc. since the 1970s continuously, and has amassed billion. He's got like companies that have billions of dollars at this point. Wilbur Ross, prior to becoming the Commerce Secretary, purchased all of Trump's debt liability through his companies. So Trump is completely owned by Rothschild, and Rothschild is also funding the riots. No, Jacob says he's being used by God to open up the eyes of his people. What do you mean by that? How's he opening up the eyes? I'm game to listen. If you, yeah. So, I don't. This just this chair. It's a very, I bought this chair off of Craigslist, and it's kind of broken, so I lean back a lot. Yeah, Rothschild owns AP. They own routers. They own everything. Yeah, stay free. Good luck to you, Florida man. I mean that. Oh, you guys are ridiculous. Be modest. Be modest. Come on. I look uncomfortable. I'm a little cold. It's below freezing in here now, but I'm all right. Anybody else have any questions? I just wanted to get this out here before. I guess while I'm at it, since I'm just fucking going balls to the wall here, obviously, like COVID-19 is an op. Obviously, if you haven't figured that out yet, they're putting fucking stickers on the floor that tell you where to stand. We have had a Spanish flu in the United States that killed millions of people, and we didn't have fucking masks like this, for a reason, because that was organic and this is fake in terms of the purpose. And I can't even ascertain what's going on with COVID, like in a technical way. Other than that, nobody knows like what it is. The actual seroprevalence tests that they're doing just test antibody reaction. So when you do a COVID test, what you're basically doing is giving a sample of your DNA. It goes somewhere that has no accountability and no one knows where they're going throughout the entire United States. There's no knowledge of whether it gets used for secondary purposes after COVID testing. And that should kind of ring a bell there. And then when they get a positive test, what they're doing is they're not actually detecting COVID. What they're detecting is your antibody reaction in its, for more or less your inflammation. So they're not actually detecting COVID, they're detecting your antibodies, which means that not only could it be other stimulation that's causing an antibody reaction, you could be, I don't know what would cause that, but it's a lot of things. They're not finding COVID. And so I'm not gonna push that any farther than like beyond my ability, but like this shit is fucked. And it should be enough to see that, regardless of what your viral situation is, if people are getting sick and shit, if you have uh, coordinated mandates between private entities and commercial industry and shopping and shit like that to get you to do weird shit. It's just, they're just telling you how high to jump and you're jumping. And that's what's going on. And they can't get it through the government because it would be illegal because they still have a constitution in a way. And so they go through the only thing that they control, which is the money supply, which goes down to every fucking commercial entity because that's how far your country's lost. Because you don't have any commercial entities that aren't under the yoke. And that's where you're at. Make sense? I feel like I already explained this. The situation with COVID. So if you're saying like I feel like it's not fake because somebody died that I know, then if you can find COVID and positively identify it, then you should release it to the world because nobody else can. Everybody else is just looking at fucking antibodies. There's the seroprevalence test. And furthermore, you're insane if you think that the measures that they're taking are reasonable. It's completely over the line. And it's just so happens to be exactly what it would look like if a tyrannical system got pushed on people, particularly Americans with our history that we have and our right to revolution that's invoked through our Declaration of Independence against Great Britain. Obviously, they can't tell people, hey, we're going to tyrannically establish the new standards because everybody will buck. And so they have to come up with a parallel narrative that causes the things that they want slowly and implement them. And obviously, I mean, if you can't see that, you're going to have a really unpleasant time here in the future. Because if you don't know that, then that means that you also don't know that obviously logically this thing's going to, no matter what they say, no matter what Biden says or Trump says or anyone else says, what's going on right now is entirely incompatible with the United States. And so this is going to get pushed to the point of open warfare. That's not any kind of threat. I want peace. I don't even want to participate in it. I would like to steer this fucking train off the tracks because this is a very evil, time that we're in. And, I think people have had enough and this kind of needs to come to a stop. But I know that they're not going to listen to me because this is just a situation of fucking raw power. And I'm telling you right now that this is going to get pushed to the point where, you guys are going to see some pretty significant conflict that's going to be coming up. And it's kind of unavoidable on the track that we're on. Now, if people start discussing this in a less petrified manner and start demanding some accountability here in a real way, and start calling ducks, then there's a possibility that we could push that off a little longer or possibly even maneuver out of it if we can get enough intelligent brains in the United States to wake the fuck up and start thinking creatively and pull from their deep mind. Then maybe we can find some solutions. But the track that we're on right now is a bunch of cattle in a line getting ready to go into the stun box. We're at the 90-degree curve, and you can't see what's beyond it because it's blind. And it's only a few more steps, and it's pretty dangerous. You might be okay with all the COVID shit, and you might be good to go with that. You don't have any right to tell anybody else what to do. And you're going to find that out. And if you don't like it, you can fight about it. Which you're not going to do if you're somebody that's like trying to get other people to do COVID compliance. You're not going to be fighting anyway. So you can pretty much just sit down. It's just trash that I put in my mouth. Don't worry about it. I'm addicted to nicotine. It's a serious weakness. I'm working on it. I've been addicted to it since I was a kid. What impacts do I think commercial farming has on our lives? Wear the mask. Don't wear the mask. Somebody says, Derpy Pedro says, wear the mask. It's not hurting anyone. Don't wear the mask. It is destroying the United States. Unless you want to wear a mask just because that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do that because that's what America's about. If you're gonna wear the mask because of compliance, then it's you're wrong. Hey, I actually I'd love to keep going, but my battery's gonna die. I'm gonna have to burn out of here, bros. I apologize. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, else we're gonna have a dead stream, and that's not fun for anybody. Okay. So anyway, hopefully, I hope that got out there to somebody. I hope somebody saw this. Hopefully, it's not too alarming. I know that my style and stuff is kind of like unhinged because I don't placate to your bullshit. But I hope that you can hear the love through my voice and know that this is from my heart, and that I want the best for you and your family, and I don't want you to be enslaved. I want you to be free. All right. I love you. Have a good night.